Our rules are simple, but the challenge is great. No shoulder pets, tames that can be carried, or typical boss dinos allowed. That means no Rexes, Therazinos, or any other dinos people normally use in these fights. Equipped with official server cap saddles, our 19 contenders will be backed by the commanding presence of a loyal Uteranus providing that extra boost. All competitors will go into battle with food to provide a healing effect. Herbivores will have plenty of sweet veggie cakes, and carnivores and omnivores will have cooked meat. No Overseer, because the movement speed required to get through the tech cave then chase the Overseer during the fight would shorten our list by a lot. It's important to note that tames in this series aren't typically used during boss battles because of the amount of mutations it would take to make them competitive. I'll be applying around 23,000 health and 1200% melee through mutations and experience levels to all dinos that compete. This will give them all a fair shot at defeating at least one of the Guardians. It won't always be feasible to reach these stats depending on the dinos I'm using, but I will let you know the amount of mutations and levels it took in order to reach it. All competitors start out with 50 base health and melee and 40 points in everything else before I apply mutations and experience levels. Use this information and decide on your own servers if the juice is worth the squeeze. Competitors are required to fight the Megapithecus, Broodmother, then Dragon on all difficulties, starting with Gamma, then Beta, finishing with Alpha. Their success will be annotated on this scorecard with a pass or fail system. Now let's introduce our competitor and see if they have what it takes. Sarcosuchus, or Sarco for short, is a giant crocodile that inhabits the swamp and river regions of the Ark. This aggressive carnivore can ambush unsuspecting survivors with lightning-fast speed while underwater and can be difficult to see if it's submerged due to its low profile. The stats used in this competition required 50 mutations and 51 experience levels. 25 mutations and 25 levels were applied to health, and 25 mutations and 26 levels were applied to melee. Now let's see if these ferocious river monsters have what it takes. I initiated the green portal and the Undercrocs were ready to charge into the Gamma Megapithecus arena. When we first teleported in, I was greeted with this fantastic bug, and unfortunately it didn't have any effect on the fight, but it was quite comical. The Sarco can't hold aggro, which adds to our long line of reasons why drag weight doesn't affect aggro from the bosses. At this point, I think I'm done trying to solve that mystery. And if you've ever used a Sarco, you'll know that their collision is all sorts of messy, which means it's harder for the bosses to get past them, and the Sarcos use it to their advantage and snag themselves an easy pass. Up next, we have the Gamma Broodmother. This fight was amazing. I was able to get the killer Crocs onto the Gamma Broodmother quickly, and she stayed in one spot running in place. I don't know who needs to hear this, but using a treadmill while wearing Crocs is a bad idea. This fight required minimal effort on my part, and Commander Utes was pretty grateful for the break. He's been a little stressed out lately due to all the PTSD from burning to death. The Undercrocs are able to completely annihilate the Gamma Broodmother and earn themselves an easy pass. The Gamma Dragon awaits, and the Undercrocs don't keep him waiting long. My strategy here was to try to get him stuck on the Crocs, and when that failed, I would wedge Commander Utes sideways under his armpits. When he's positioned like this, he's just out of reach from the dragon's attacks. I avoided letting the Crocs go to the front or the sides of the dragon the best I could to keep them alive as long as possible. I know this is just a Gamma fight, but I use this time to practice what I'll do for the Beta and Alpha fights. Eventually, I'm able to get him stuck, and my strategy seems to pay off. The Sarco squad drops the dragon and earns another pass. The blue portal was open, and that can only mean one thing. It's time for the Beta Megapithecus. The Undercrocs aren't the easiest to maneuver due to their size and have a horrible turning radius. This, combined with my half-hearted attempt to corner the big man, resulted in Commander Utes taking a lot more blows than he should have. Eventually, I was able to block him a couple of times, and the Undercrocs were able to go to work. The Crocs hadn't taken much damage at all up to this point, and I was starting to think they might actually be able to go the distance in the Alpha fights. One thing is for sure, the Beta Megapithecus stood no chance, and the Sarco Slay Queens dropped the Beta Megapithecus, earning their fourth pass. The Beta Broodmother caught me by surprise, but I was able to get away and put some Crocs between us. I'm starting to see why they named these guys after a shoe. Or maybe they named the shoe after them, I don't know. Now, when the boss isn't aggroed onto your fighters, they can typically rage past them and get to your Uteranus. That's especially true during the Beta and Alpha fights because of their increased speed. I was growing more and more confident with every round since, as you can see, the Beta Broodmother had no answer for the crocodile mile that she'd have to endure if she wanted to get to me. The Undercrocs were putting on an amazing display, and if you haven't noticed, they all attack if they're within range, even with their mouth so close to the ground. Beta Brood Mommy down, that's another pass. We enter the Beta Dragon arena, his towering might a spectacle unfolds in the fiery light. Upon Commander Utes, my noble steed, we charged into battle with unwavering speed. The Undercrocs were snapping and chomping with glee, they made a delicious meal of the dragon's knee, as Utes and I remained up front, drawing his attention with his dangerous stunt. Eventually, my armor would be destroyed. It matters not, because I was so joyed to seize the opportunity and spread my knees and allow my balls to flap in the breeze. These volcanoes are hot, and you must understand, sometimes things don't go as planned, but if the opportunity is there, you know you'd also be fine prancing around in your underwear. Commander Utes constantly set ablaze and he remained unswayed. This man is a choo-choo train of pain endurance in the fiery cascade. Undercrocs, Sarcos, call them what you will, in the arena's fire where destinies are fulfilled. The Crocs avoided most of the damage, but Commander Utes was being grilled. My armor was in ruins, a moment so crass, but Utes pushed on with balls of brass, and the Crocs beat the dragon's ass and earned themselves a pass. The red portal was activated, and it was time for the Alpha Megapithecus and his team of silly little monkeys. If there's one boss that is difficult to get stuck due to his sheer speed, it's the Alpha Megapithecus. This guy is usually on you quickly, and it can be pretty difficult to get away and add some separation. Fortunately, the Undercrocs are able to pin the big man down relatively quickly and hold him in place the entire fight. This was one of the more dominating performances, and it was just a big waiting game as I courage roared from the sidelines and took a few rocks to the face here and there. Eventually, the Alpha Megapithecus couldn't take anymore, and the Undercrocs get their 7th pass of the competition. The Alpha Broodmother is up next, and she was in full-on rage mode. She barreled through the Undercrocs just to get a whiff of my man scent. Commander Utes and I tried to get away, and I realized that she was actually pissed off at me from our last couples counseling session. So, am I the asshole? You be the judge. When the session started, we sat down waiting for our therapist to come in, and she ate the whole bowl of Jolly Ranchers that he had out. She gets hungry when she's nervous. I asked her if she was worried about getting spider beaties, and right at that moment the therapist walked in while she was choking me. I said, "Harder, baby," and the therapist went to restrain her, but Mama Broods ate him. I was able to get away during all the commotion, and I was checking other offices for some Jolly Ranchers because nothing like a good choking will get my sweet tooth ramped up. Anyway, she's embarrassed from the incident, and now we have to find our 8th therapist to treat us, and she's all angry with me now. Oh, and the Sarcos beat her ass, earning another pass. The Alpha Dragon was all that remained between the Undercrocs and the Gold Boom Medal. I take back everything terrible I've said about Karen, the Sarco from my Island series. She was a lazy bitch, but the Undercrocs in this series really helped out her cause. If I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't have punched her so much. And if you haven't seen it yet, go check out my Island series. It's not the best, but I was still pretty new when I started it, and hell, I'm still pretty new to this. But I've learned a lot, and I can promise you the next series is going to be 10 times better than that one. The start of this fight went pretty good, and after the first takeoff of the dragon, I was able to get him stuck on the Sarcos. He remained this way for a good chunk of the fight, and I really thought that they'd be able to put him in the dirt from that one spot alone. That turned out not to be the case, and after the dragon landed, the next time I had to put Commander Utes in the armpit position, and it was kind of tricky to get the Sarco squad to not get hit from this spot. But he could hit them all they want because it was too late for the dragon, and the Undercrocs were able to pull off an impressive full clear of the board. I underestimated the Sarco by a ton coming into this, and I'm proud to award them the Gold Boom Medal for a very dominant performance. They're only our 6th competitor to do so and have earned their spot in the finale. If you've enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to check out the rest of the series and subscribe if you haven't already. There's at least 1,000 of you out there that have watched damn near every episode and haven't subscribed yet. You need to get your asses in here and join the family. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.